You could see it all along the Front Range, even from space. A 5-story apartment building under construction burned to the ground.
It's pretty wild.
Saw that the volume of fire that we had was significant.
Even the amount of smoke in the air reminds me of fire season.
Only the concrete elevator shaft is still standing.
Jeez, did you see how high that was? Oh my gosh!
Dozens of firefighters rushed to the scene. The flames so intense and fast, many construction workers jumped from the 2nd or 3rd stories.
Oh God, I just hope they all got out safely, and I hope the firemen got out safely.
Denver 7 starts right now.
And breaking less than 90 minutes ago, Denver Fire confirms one person was found dead in that fire, and there's a second person still unaccounted for. Now, we don't know if that missing person was inside the burning building or perhaps he ran from the scene and just hasn't checked in yet.
And here are the numbers. 2 people were taken to the hospital. 4 others were treated for smoke inhalation. Tonight, 200 people can't get back into their homes. An evacuation center is open at the St. Charles Recreation Center near 38th and Blake. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jacqueline Allen.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Tonight we have team coverage of this devastating fire. It was at 18th and Emerson, just a few steps away from St. Joseph's Hospital in the Park Hill neighborhood.
And we begin with Denver 7 reporter Mark Stewart, who has been talking to people there since the fire started just after noon today. Mark?
And Jacqueline, since we last talked to you at 5, we have moved here to 18th and Emerson. This is where the fire broke out. This is the heart of Uptown, and for the moment, it is off limits. People who live here just want some stability. This was a very scary afternoon.
A black cloud quickly erupting from the city's skyline. Seen from miles away. A construction site in Denver's Uptown. 80 apartments being built, scheduled to open later this year. Now just a pile of burnt wood. Around the building, dozens of cars on the street getting wrapped up in the flames. And people scurrying for safety as the sound of explosions filled the air. Some workers inside jumping for their lives.
I actually heard a big boom, and then all of a sudden our power went out. Almost like a crash or something.
An inferno felt by this man who owns property in the neighborhood.
It came out on the porch, and the heat from the fire, even at that distance, was almost unbearable.
We got close enough that the water was kicking back and spritzing us, and so we were right at the edge of the scene.
At times, the scene was unstable. People were told to leave, the only way firefighters could guarantee their safety. We saw roadblocks and told of power outages near 18th and Emerson as people young and old lined the streets waiting for an all clear. Some businesses nearby were forced to close, with so many people asking, is everyone okay?
Everyone on Emerson Street, walk back to 17th Avenue.
It's pretty wild.
Again, this is the closest we've been able to get all day long, and as you can see, that construction site, it just looks like a frame, an empty house, just a wooden structure struggling to stand tall. People in this neighborhood are dealing with power outages. Many people are dealing with damage to their homes. If you can avoid Uptown tonight, do so, because there are still a number of road closures in place. We're live in Uptown tonight. Mark Stewart, Denver 7.
Thanks, Martin. And take a look at this. One of our web producers found these embers on the ground several blocks away from the site of the fire. He says they are scattered all over the Capitol Hill neighborhood.
And at least 40 cars were burned in that blaze, many of them just a total loss. Look at these photos posted by the Denver Police Department.
And tonight, the embers continue to smolder, and firefighters continue to search for the people who have gone missing. But firefighters are also focused on a 2-part investigation. How did this fire start, and why did this fire start?
Denver 7's chief investigative reporter Tony Kovaleski, you called several sources, did some digging. What did you learn about this?
Well, Shannon, Jacqueline, we have spent the afternoon digging into the history of the builder, the developer, and looking into questions fire investigators are trying to get answered right now. The city has confirmed the structure was inspected on Monday, and there were no issues at that time. The developer is, and let me tell you more about him, Alante Properties out of Greenwood Village, and the builder is Vertex. Now, here's what we found out. Vertex is in Frederick. Both companies have no significant lawsuits recorded in the state. We also checked with OSHA, and Vertex had no reportable issues. We also scrubbed the internet. No significant findings on both companies, which takes us to the next phase, the cause of the fire. We have learned fire investigators are interviewing everyone on the construction site that was there this morning, asking about that ignition point. Early information is it started on the 3rd floor, and we also talked with an expert from the National Fire Protection Association about the standard investigation.
When we see these fires, that tend to, really get out of control pretty quickly, the two culprits either tend to be what we call, again, that hot work operation, which could involve something like welding. The other one, depending on time of day, is also arson. Now, if this fire occurred in the middle of the day, arson is probably going to be an unlikely culprit, but if it just happened, there's no stone that's going to be left unturned right now.
No stone unturned. Now, Denver 7 Investigates has also reviewed the city's inspection reports and found no significant concerns there. I did talk on the phone earlier this evening with Fire Chief Eric Tade. He shared 2 significant points. One, they believe it is unusual for a fire like this to get going, to accelerate as rapidly as it did today. Second, they are interviewing all of the construction workers on site, and that, I think, is going to be the key. Another point for you here, we also asked the chief to confirm if welding was taking place before the fire. He said at this point they have no confirmation. So a lot of questions, but the ignition point is what they're looking for right now.
Thanks for all your work, and thank goodness we didn't have the winds today that we had on Monday. Thanks, Tony.
No doubt.
We want to thank everyone who sent us photos and videos of this massive fire, including this video from Ryan Scray. Oh, incredible there. Remember, you can always tag us on social media. Use Denver 7 on Facebook or Denver Channel on Twitter.
And